Hello and welcome to another standard video here in the Foundations metagame. Today I'm going to play with one of my all-time favorite cards, Demonic Pact, which has been reprinted in Foundations, so it's going to be legal and standard for 5 long years, joined with, of course, Harmless Offering, which has also been reprinted in Foundations. So we've got this 2-card combo that can essentially win us the game if we can survive long enough. Demonic Pact and Enchantment, saying at the beginning of our upkeep, choose one of these 4 modes that hasn't been chosen yet, between dealing 4 damage to any targets and gaining 4, can also make the opponent discard 2 cards, draw 2 ourselves, and last but not least, you lose the game. So that's the mode you don't want to select if you can help it, and instead, after choosing the 3 beneficial modes, give our Demonic Pact to our opponent with Harmless Offering, and then see as they lose the game to our own pact instead. To have additional redundancy, we've got the full set of Besiege the Mirror in this build as well. I've also experimented with slightly different configurations, but this build in particular has a lot of enchantment sacrifice synergy, so Besiege is perfect as another way to essentially get our Demonic Pact in play on turn 4, as long as we have something to sacrifice to bargain, and then if we already have Demonic Pact, it can also find our Harmless Offering if that's what we need. And then rounding out the deck, plenty of enchantments as we've said. Hopeless Nightmare makes the opponent discard and lose 2 life, and if we sacrifice it, which we can do in a multitude of ways, we also get to scry 2, so another way to kind of dig towards our missing combo pieces. Now making the opponent discard a card at random may not seem all that good, but in best of 1 they don't have the prior knowledge of us being on the Demonic Pact deck, so they might still maybe keep a removal spell in hand, whereas if the opponent were to see our deck list, they would probably just be happy discarding their useless removal spells in this matchup. And then at 2 mana, we've got the full set of a Nowhere to Run, which is another removal spell that doubles up as an enchantment. So we can flash this in, give a creature -3/-3. Pretty good also against cards like Heartfire Hero, which otherwise deals damage when it dies. So now decreasing its power can mitigate some of that damage. And then it also removes Hexproof and Ward abilities, useful against some of the Aura strategies. But we also see a lot of Sheltered by Ghosts in various enchantment decks, and can also stop a Shard Mage's Rescue, so pretty useful to have on the battlefield, but we also don't mind sacrificing it to bargain synergies. And Disturbing Mirth also requires an enchantment in play to be at its best, as we now get to draw 2 cards if we sacrifice a creature or enchantment, and then if we sack the Mirth itself, we also get to Manifest Dread, so that can leave a 2/2 creature on the battlefield, which can also maybe help play defense. And then a Maze Mind Tome is also great in this deck, as we can repeatedly scry to dig towards our missing combo pieces, or just pay 2 mana to draw in the slower matchups, eventually gaining 4 life, so it's perfect for this style of combo control deck. And then our other spot removal includes Torch the Tower, which can deal 2 to a creature, or 3 if we sacrifice something to bargain, in which case we get to scry 1 as well. Exiling creatures also very important, as it can single-handedly deal with the Slasher and prevent it from coming back, so that's huge in the mono-black matchups. And then a Final Vengeance is a sorcery, which can sometimes be a drawback when facing a card like Bloodletter with Annex on the battlefield, but it can very efficiently deal with a large creature just by sacking a creature or enchantment of our own. So yet another way of getting rid of our own Demonic Pact if we somehow don't find the Harmless Offering in time. And then the mana base has plenty of red-black dual lands, since we need triple black on Besiege, so we can't afford to really play more than 1 land that doesn't produce black mana, so just 1 mountain, 9 swamps. Could also play Fabled Passage to search those up, but because we're scrying a bunch with Tome and Nightmare, it's better if we don't shuffle the deck too much. Now we only shuffle if we search our library with Besiege the Mirror, but that way we don't necessarily shuffle bad cards back into the deck after we bottom them. And then I've got more Surveil lands here with Theater, and then Verge is also perfect in a deck with plenty of basics, and Theater also enables it. Only 2 Blackleaf Cliffs, since we want land 4 to be untapped most of the time, and Sulphur Spring is also kind of a necessary evil here. So yeah, that's our deck. Now let's jump into some games and see how the deck does. Okay, we're on the draw with a promising hand. Facing red with turn 1 Heartclaw. So I'm going to want to set up Nightmare into either Disturbing Mirth or Vengeance. Probably better off drawing some cards and making a 2/2 eventually with Vengeance sacking Mirth. We already have kind of the combo rolled up. But it's going to take a while to enact our game plan. Alright, since our opponents just pumped Heartclaw, I kind of like Vengeance now. Question is whether we want to Surveil 1 before Scry 2. I guess we'll Surveil 1 first. Don't need lands. And Demonic Pact I'll keep. Land 5 doesn't seem super important. We'll probably draw more lands naturally. So now, don't have a great play since Disturbing Mirth doesn't draw, but it does set up Besiege to manifest Dread in the future, so I think I still go for it. So opponent with a creature light draw, maybe holding some burn spells. So that's where the gain 4 in Demonic Pact is useful. And yeah, if we get the opportunity to play it on a somewhat stable board, that would be great. But might be better to actually Besiege first, getting another Demonic Pact. So then we'll have an extra blocker in the meantime. Opponent is playing black as well. And a Sellsword. So they might have a bunch of pump spells in hand, but nowhere to use them. Yeah, I think we'll stick to the plan here. Although Besiege does have the flexibility of maybe getting a removal spell next turn. Although I imagine 4 damage is good enough. So Manifest Dread, get Demonic Pact. And then back-to-back Demonic Pacts. Should be pretty effective. Black-red shouldn't have too many ways to destroy enchantments, specifically if they're just splashing black for Sellsword. Now a Challenger. So we'll block Sellsword, probably see a pump spell, that's fine. And then Demonic Pact will probably start by dealing 4 to the Challenger. Alright, trade happens. And Swiss Spear. Making them discard 2 cards is also tempting, but this guarantees that we stabilize the board. And now we can discard and deal 4 more damage. Sometimes stacking double Demonic Pact to make them discard 4 at once can catch the opponent off guard when they were maybe keeping an answer to your Harmless Offering. So discard 2 cards, please. And maybe 4 damage to the Swiss Spear. Opponent's gonna turn inside out Heartfire Hero. Just to enable Valiant. They could have manifested Dread if they really wanted to. And then I don't really have a reason to Harmless Offering now, because then our opponent would just get to draw 2 cards for free. So we can wait a turn. At 18, we should have this. So now we get to draw 4 cards. And we've got Harmless Offerings aplenty. And then it's the leftmost Demonic Pact that we're gonna generously give to our opponents. Nowhere to Run also a pretty clean answer to Heartfire Hero, so it doesn't deal any damage on the way out. And yeah, opponent decides to lose the game. Awesome, on to the next one. Okay, we're on the draw. This hand's fine, except for the double Sulfur Springs, which is going to end up costing us a lot of life. But I think we still try it. Nowhere to Run sets up Disturbing Mirth to draw. And Sanctifier's not long for the world. But yeah, I think I would rather take out the Channeler. And get that exiled. And then Nowhere to Run can answer the next creature. And then Mirth can draw. Alright, if they're gonna play another Sanctifier, Probably fine to answer the first one, because even if they would play another Channeler or Pridemate, it's still within range of another Nowhere to Run. And it's going to be a Vanguard. Alright, let's try and draw here, since I would really like to hit my land drop. And then any untapped land for Final Vengeance lets us sack Mirth to Manifest Dread. Hits another Sulphur Springs. Yeah, these are getting painful. But I think it's fine. Take out Vanguard. Or Sanctifier. I guess Vanguard's unlikely to attack for 2 anytime soon. And Sanctifier's relevant just by sitting there. Sadly can't draw any of these lanes. So, yeah, Demonic Pact, if we can cast it next turn, should help us quite a bit. And there's a Pridemate, but no way to immediately grow it. And I'll take a Theater, I guess. Keep Blazemire Verge, so we don't have to keep taking damage of Sulphur Springs. And I'm likely using Nowhere to Run on the Pridemate here, but we'll see. If Linden shows up, we might prefer taking that out. Now Channelers, so want to make sure we don't let them trigger Vanguard. So yeah, I'll just take out the Pridemates. And then a 2/2, good at holding off the smaller creatures. Alright, I think it's a shield down turn and cast Demonic Pact. And then next turn we can deal 4 and gain 4 to try and stabilize. Opponent's got a Ruin Lurker. And Knight Errant Convoked. Alright, so they get to refuel. Could also make them discard 2, but probably need to answer the board. And then Channeler's the one that's going to grow a whole bunch if they play Linden and attack. Knight Errant's a 4/4. Yeah, might still want to take out the Knight Errant. And then what's my play this turn? I could also Besiege for like a Torture Tower Exile Channeler. Seems okay. Now I would rather just Disturbing Mirth, sack Nowhere to Run. And then I could still Besiege. And we drew the torch, that's perfect. So yeah, now a change of plan, just pass. And then we can exile Channeler and Nowhere to Run maybe a Linden. Could have done that before giving them the chance to maybe convoke another Knight Errant, but if they do, that's probably fine by me. And then take these out before Vanguard gets a chance to trigger. Now Demonic Pact can make them discard 2. Besiege Mirth. Get another Demonic Pact, perhaps. They actually had a Sheltered by Ghosts, which could have been an answer to our enchantment. So, yeah. Bargain, sack Mirth. And at this point, another Demonic Pact should be fine, in case they do top deck an answer. Alright, and that should do it. Channeler grows up to a 4/3. Got a few triggers, draw 2, and take out your Channeler maybe. Alright, and Harmless Offering. Make sure we gift the right one. And that'll do it. Awesome, on to the next one. Okay, we're on the draw with a fine hand. Nowhere to run, setting up Mirth. And our opponent may be on a Boros or Jeskai Convoke deck, which, yeah, we haven't seen in a while. Still play Theater here, I think. And then, sure, we'll keep the Harmless Offering, so we already have our combo. Alright, blue-white, so might be a little bit different. Bunnycorn, still within range of Nowhere to Run. So I'll just main phase that in case there's any instant speed shenanigans. So yeah, blue-white, possible they have counterspells, they might have answers to enchantments. But they're leaning into the artifact synergies, it seems. And yeah, Sheltered by Ghosts, answers Nowhere to Run. Potentially dangerous, but you can understand why, because Nowhere to Run removes the ward from the Sheltered by Ghosts in the first place. And now I don't have anything to sack to Disturbing Mirth. But if our opponent plays another creature, Torch the Tower, answers Inspector, and then all of a sudden we get our Nowhere to Run back. So I think that's the plan. And then at the very least I'll have an enchantment for Mirth. Although next turn I imagine we're playing Demonic Pact. So yeah, kind of hoping our opponent plays another creature, and yeah, Mockingbird will do. They do get to make another clue. But we get to remove both creatures now. Assuming this resolves. Now they will have solved their case. So they can eventually, well, never mind, I guess opponent sacks the clue in response. So now they're missing an artifact. Alright, never mind, they've got another one. So case is solved. And we're gonna tap out for Demonic Pact. Board is stable enough. If they animate a clue into a 4/4, we can take it out. And yeah, there we see Leyline Axe. Pretty exciting with Bunnycorn. For now we can just draw 2. Now I don't have any instant speed answer to their bird, potentially. And if they both suit up and give double strike, that could be a problem. Because yeah, it's going to be a 4/4, Torch is only 3, Vengeance is a sorcery. So I guess best I can do is Disturbing Mirth. And maybe find some more answers. Now Double Torch could do it. So we'll keep those available. Opponent's gonna draw instead. And a Zoetic Glyph, pretty good too. So that's gonna hit for 5, but yeah, I'm not opposed to using Torch now. Or we can just use 4 damage from Demonic Pact to answer it. It's probably good enough. And then keep the torches to answer the case. They do get to discover. Hitting a Mockingbird. X equals 0. So it doesn't get to copy anything. And another Demonic Pact. So, yeah, can play another Pact here. Still have Double Torch available. In case they top deck an answer to the first one. And with all these effects that let me sack an enchantment, there's no risk of losing to my own Demonic Pact. Which is one of the advantages of this build compared to maybe a more traditional Demonic Pact deck without enchantment synergies. So Steel Seraph into a Shelter by Ghost, so if they actually had the answer. Can still sack with Bargain, or I guess, yeah, we'll Bargain, take out Steel Seraph, sacking Mirth, and then I can just normal Torch the Tower Mockingbird. Alright, and then our opponent should just be dead to the Harmless Offering. Can make my opponent discard 2 even though they're empty-handed. And yeah, opponent knows the writing's on the wall. On to the next one. Okay, we're on the draw. Hand seems fine. Facing a life gain deck. This only makes black, so yeah, we'll play Theater, keep lands, and then next turn we can Nowhere to Run. Enabling Bargain for Beseech. Amalia, good target for Nowhere to Run, as we don't have to pay the ward. And a Gorehound they will keep on top. Could also be a Raise the Past deck, which usually doesn't mind creatures getting destroyed. But at least Torch the Tower exiles. So yeah, we'll answer Amalia to relieve some pressure. And then Hopeless Nightmare might be doing the opponent a favor, but I still want more enchantments on the battlefields. Discards Channeler. And plays another one, so that's a good one to exile. Can also wait for their triggers to resolve, but I doubt this is going to have a huge impact on their decision. I can also just cast the Demonic Pact now. And even if they have a discard spell, they're not gonna mess us up too badly. And yeah, there we see Starscape Cleric. Pretty good in combination with Raise the Past and a bunch of life gain triggers. So I could just make them discard 2 for starters. And yeah, there's Raise the Past. So now they both need land 4 and another Raise the Past. We get to Disturbing Mirth, draw 2, or I could Beseech the Nightmare or Nowhere to Run and get another Demonic Pact going. Yeah, either way should be fine. Sacking Nightmare, not super useful since we would waste the Scry. Could have also gotten a removal spell here, but we should be fine at 14. Alright, now they have enough mana to cast another Raise the Past, potentially. We will deal 4 damage, gain 4. And yeah, probably just go face. And then here we can draw 2 as well. Or maybe deal 4 again. Because yeah, the problem with taking out their creatures is that if they top deck Raise the Past, it doesn't matter. If we remove their creatures, since they'll just get them back. So I can wait 1 more turn to Harmless Offering. And then for now, get a 3rd Demonic Pact, or maybe it's time to draw. Sure, we can Surveil 1, don't need Maze Mind Tome. Another Torture Tower would be fine. Which was maybe a reason to just Beseech and get a Torture Tower. Alright, there's one on top. Can draw into it and Manifest Dread. And this shouldn't matter. Alright, so did they top deck Raise the Past? Don't know if we're gonna survive at 19, it's gonna be close. So yeah, maybe I should have just cast Beseech for Torture Tower, the Sanctifier. And then I guess I'm better off taking 1 as opposed to blocking and them getting it back. And wow, they actually top decked it. So are we dead? 4 creatures entered with Sanctifier and Duo. But Duo doesn't trigger off itself. So it's actually going to be close. Alright, now just a bunch of Gorehound triggers left. So that's an impressive board that our opponent just got out of nowhere. But luckily, our opponent's just gonna lose the game here. Just gotta make sure to gift the correct Demonic Pact. And that is the left one. And that should do it. Sweet, on to the next one. Okay, we're on the play. We have a removal dense hand, but at least Nowhere to Run enables Besiege and enables Vengeance as well, so if Nowhere to Run is good, this hand should be decent. And then I probably don't need Torch the Tower. Turn 1 Mountain and Bolt Wave, so burn. Alright, so removal's useful if they present creatures. If their hand is literally all burn spells, then that's not great. Could still Nowhere to Run just to get the enchantment in play. I think we can wait one more turn. And then, yeah, with double Besiege, Demonic Pact gaining 4 life is also important in this matchup. No Screaming Nemesis. Yeah, I'm still gonna run it out here. Alright, we'll get to Surveil. And then do I need land 5? Maybe. It lets me Besiege and then still maybe Torch the Tower. Yeah, Nowhere to Run's one of the better answers to a Screaming Nemesis since it doesn't deal any damage to it. But now we're just getting Demonic Pact, making the opponent discard 2 cards, also pretty good in this matchup. So options aplenty. But now they could go Nemesis and damage it with their own removal spell. So that can deny life gain. And yeah, that's... nope, not quite what happens. Sheltered by Ghosts. Still kind of annoying. But at least I'll get my Demonic Pact back. And this happens beginning of upkeep. So yeah, it's not like I can Nowhere to Run the Nemesis and then trigger Demonic Pact next turn. But Nowhere to Run answers Nemesis without needing to pay ward, so that's nice. And I'll just do that now. Lightning Helix. Alright, let's maybe start with discard 2 cards. Although maybe the safest is still 4 damage, 4 life. Even though our opponent might be empty-handed next turn already. And then there's a few ways we can play it, but another Demonic Pact seems fine. Helix face. And then now they can discard 2 cards. And we deal 4 and gain 4. And then we can wait one more turn to Besiege Harmless Offering. Disturbing Mirth. Sacks Nowhere to Run. And yeah, we drew Harmless Offering, so we've got all angles covered now. Could Besiege. Get a 3rd Demonic Pact, just because. And Manifest Dread. And our opponent has seen enough. Awesome, on to the next one. Okay, we're on the play. We've got a promising hand, I would say. Nightmare enables Vengeance and Disturbing Mirth. Plenty of card draw and scry with Tome. In which we'll need to find a few more lands and eventually Demonic Pact. Nightmare is decent if you play turn 1, since the opponent doesn't necessarily know what you're up to. So they might keep some removal spells in hand, which are usually not very good against us. Opponent looks to be a blue-white enchantment deck. Alright, found our Demonic Pact, and then lands, and then followed by Harmless Offering would be fine. Although with Beseech in hand, maybe I just look for additional lands, since we'll eventually have access to Harmless Offering. Hall Creeper we can answer with Torture Tower. Probably do it now in case they have a protection spell, since we don't have our enchantment in play, which stops Hexproof and Ward. Also could have considered Final Vengeance, sacking Mirth just to manifest Dread. And Glimmers next. So they can still play a 2-mana enchantment and another Hall Creeper. Okay. Scry towards land 4. Another Demonic Pact I'll have to decline, sadly. And then upkeep I'll scry again. Torture Tower. Maybe that's fine to keep. And just answer both of the opponent's creatures right now. And then we'll find land 4 eventually. Yeah, it's a close call. I'll try this approach. So Final Vengeance takes care of the Glimmer. And then, yeah, Nowhere to Run is the type of card that could be useful in this matchup. I guess I don't show it to my opponent yet. And I think I still Torture Tower now. Could also, I guess, play another Tome. But then Hall Creeper gets to draw a card. Yeah, let's try and keep the opponent low on resources. Could have also bargained Torture Tower just to scry one, but our opponent concedes. Their hand might be all auras. So yeah, taking out the creatures can be a solid strategy in this matchup. On to the next one. Okay, we're on the play. We've got no red mana, but Maze Mind Tome helps. Nightmare sets up Vengeance, so I'll still keep. Opponent discarding a Tidebinder, so might be blue-black. And now I could play Theater. I think I still resolve Tome while I get the chance. Tiny Bones, don't usually see that one. Not in a hurry to scry. Try and keep land on top. Don't need another Harmless Offering, although it will let the opponent know what we're up to. And then I'm probably better off just drawing with Tome. I guess drawing main phase plays around another Tidebinder, stopping the ability. But drawing end of turn is better in the face of a discard spell. But yeah, opponent actually has another Tidebinder. So yeah, counters my ability here, and now I need to answer Tidebinder first. That's fine, we'll draw. Hit my land drop anyway. And then could Disturbing Mirth. Sack Nightmare. Draw 2, and then Vengeance, sack Disturbing Mirth to answer Tidebinder. Probably fine to keep Torture Tower. Could now also Nowhere to Run the Tidebinder instead. But making a blocker for Tiny Bones seems useful. Although then keeping Torch on top wasn't particularly helpful. Probably don't want to put Demonic Pact in my graveyard, because Tiny Bones could technically get it back. Alright, so still 3 Demonic Pacts left in the deck and 4 bargains, or rather Besiege the Mirrors with bargain. Opponent cuts down my face down card, so now Tiny Bones can get back a Hopeless Nightmare and cast it. Potentially could have been avoided. If I discard Harmless Offering, there's still going to be one left in the deck, because counterspells are maybe a concern there. But for right now, it's the least useful card. And then do I scry? I don't think so. Found Beseech. So I could cast that right now, but our opponent does have 2 mana up. So I think it's just going to be nowhere to run Tiny Bones, which can otherwise get back Demonic Pact. And then if I draw now and they flash in Fairy Mastermind, I'll regret it, but I can maybe hit land drop for a turn. Plus we know about Tidebinder, which can also punish waiting. Ooh, I see Greed's Gambits. Their opponent's actually doing a very similar thing. Now, funnily enough, if we now Harmless Offering Demonic Pact, I guess, yeah, that's still good, because our opponent doesn't get a chance to gift it back, because it's going to go on the stack right away. But we don't want to waste our Harmless Offering just giving back a Greed's Gambit. We just need to keep it for Demonic Pact, pretty much. But yeah, we already lost 2 Harmless Offerings in a matchup where it's actually very useful. So, yeah, we're just going to Besiege, sacking nowhere to run, get Demonic Pact, and then hope they cannot easily get rid of it. So our opponent's probably playing the Falcon to gift Gambits. I suppose Tidebinder also a way to stop the enchantments trigger for a turn. So that's maybe why they're playing it. And Trainer goes digging. So if our opponent's playing counterspells, they could just wait to counter my Harmless Offering, and that's a problem. Into the Royal can bounce enchantments as well. Opponent doesn't fire it off just yet. Has to sack to Greed's Gambits. And then I'll just take my draw. Do we make them discard 2 or do we draw 2 ourselves? I kind of like discard 2 here more, since we have plenty of card draw as is. And our opponent's down to 4 cards in hand. Now, Into the Royal, not a great answer for Greed's Gambit, because if it leaves, they still have to discard 3, lose 6, and sack 3 creatures. But it is a good answer to Demonic Pact in a way. Opponent got rid of it. Let's maybe draw with Tome. Play another one. Surveil, and we can draw again end of turn. I think I keep the Nightmare to make them discard again. Now I suppose Tiny Bones could get their own Demonic Pact out of my graveyard now. But that's not gonna win them the game in time. We're also about to gain 4 with Tome, so we should be relatively safe. Opponent does indeed go for Demonic Pact. And they're casting it. Okay. Still got a discard to the Gambits. So they're down to 1 card in hand. So now could also deal 4. Yeah, I guess what's my plan? I might be better off drawing now, because otherwise if they make me discard with their Demonic Pacts, I might end up losing my Harmless Offering. Just gotta watch out that I don't die to the 4 damage from Demonic Pact. But again, we'll gain 4 of Tome. So discard your last card. Which was an Airtie, also could have countered a trigger. And then Disturbing Mirth, sack Nightmare, lets me scry a bunch as well. And another Demonic Pact I'll keep. Could keep land in hand to discard. It's probably fine. And then we've got a panic button here with Torch, which can always sack Demonic Pact if we think we're about to be in trouble. So we should have most angles covered. Opponent's going for the damage mode, which again we have covered with Tome. And just a land, so yeah, we should have it. I guess I didn't see the Restless Reef, which I can still answer in a few different ways. Does Tiny Bones have Hopeless Nightmare to return? Yeah, that's kind of interesting. So, Tome up to 7. So I guess I'm better off just dealing with Tiny Bones and the Bat at that point. Or I can, I guess, just make a 2-2 with Disturbing Mirth. So I could let them attack first, actually. So we ambush Tiny Bones. Don't care about the Milling 4. Although could have also drawn into another pact with Tome. And then now we want to know where to run. Restless Reef. Torch with Bargain sacking Mirth. And we can decide what to take out. Could also be the Bats to save a little bit more damage, but yeah, it doesn't matter here. And then just scrying with a Tome. And gains me 4. Plus we get to block Tiny Bones. Alright. And then Harmless Offering will win us the game. Take my turn. Deal 4, gain 4. Opponent's empty-handed, which is how we like it. So no countering the Demonic Pact trigger. Now they do potentially resolve the other Demonic Pact first. I guess I hadn't thought about that. Opponent can actually draw, find like a Tidebinder or Airtie, and then counter the other Demonic Pact trigger. So the game's not over yet. And yeah, it looks like they top-decked something at instant speed. What is it? Virtue of Knowledge. Copying the Demonic Pact trigger, so our opponent loses the game twice. That's pretty awesome. And our opponent explodes. That was a very cool play from our opponent, so hats off to them as we get to rank up here as well. So yeah, this version of Demonic Pact has a few advantages over maybe some other variants. One of those is a multitude of ways to sacrifice your own enchantments, so you're not going to end up losing to your own Demonic Pact very often. Now the drawback of maybe a build with Hopeless Nightmare as opposed to Duress is that you don't have that pinpoint targeted discard that can sometimes be important to take away counter spells. So if the opponent's hand is very full, then making them discard with Nightmare and Demonic Pact may not work out. But the idea here is more to kind of chain together multiple Demonic Pacts, so we just accrue that much value, and if our opponent's plan is to counter Harmless Offering, it's probably not going to work out, since we'll find a way to get rid of our own Demonic Pact if really necessary. So yeah, I've been liking this build, and I definitely recommend giving it a try if you've got the cards for it. So that's going to do it for today's gameplay. Want to thank you for watching, hope you enjoyed, and as always, have a nice day.